Good evening. Buenas noches. On behalf of the Board of Trustees for Beyond Baroque, I'd like to warmly welcome you to tonight's program. It's an evening of poetry, community, and yes, a bit of bittersweet moment as we gather, not to say goodbye, but to say thank you to our very own Quentin Ring. From grant writer to executive director, Quentin has been a leader, a champion of the arts and its artists. Under his direction, Beyond Baroque has flourished into a thriving, inclusive home for so many of us in this room. So tonight, we do what poets do best. We give Quentin the best send-off we know, surrounded by verse, laughter, and a barrage of metaphors and similes. Quentin, thank you for everything. And the next time we see you, or I see you, it'll be you as our feature. That's going to happen. He is going to feature. He's going to be on this side. So I want to welcome everyone once again. Thank you and enjoy your evening.
You think I'd be good with this microphone after all these years, but I'm not. Thank you, Luivette. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. I've been saying for a while, I suspect some of you might be here just to like cheer the fact I'm leaving and be like, get out of this place. We don't want you here anymore. If that's your attitude, I'm glad you're here anyways. But yes, today is my final day as executive director of Beyond Baroque. And this is my final program. So I have been here, I've been working at Beyond Baroque for 12 years. I started in 2013. Thank you. I spent 6 years in a variety of roles as a grant writer, assistant director, and then I spent the last 6 years as executive director. So it's been a significant chunk of my life. And so, yeah, there's a lot of feelings here tonight. A lot of friendships, a lot of artists and writers that I really admire. And so this is a big moment for me. Before we really get into that, though, I guess I should talk about what's happening next in general. I can give you a whole timeline. Right after this event, there will be tacos out in the back, and drinks and desserts. So stick around for that. It's also like low key a birthday celebration. My birthday's in 10 days. Rhiannon's is in 11 days. Jimmy's was 2 weeks ago, so we'll be celebrating that as well. Then after that, for me, so I don't have to say this like a million times, which I've already done, but like I'm leaving for a few weeks tomorrow. I'm going to Portugal, doing a writing residency. And then I'm going to be back. I'm going to be continuing to do some work with Beyond Baroque. I'm going to be joining the board. I will be involved in various projects here, so you'll all see me lots, whether you like it or not. And eventually I'll be sort of plunging back into the work world. As a few of you know, my dad passed away relatively recently, so I'm taking a little bit of time just to deal with that. Also happening at midnight tonight, Jimmy Vega is taking over as interim executive director. Which I am very excited about. I'm excited for Beyond Baroque for that. I'm excited for me for not being the one to do that anymore. I think I'm excited for him, but we'll see how he feels about it. But we'll definitely I'm going to be talking a little bit more about Jimmy later. And then on Monday, here at Beyond Baroque, we're going to be starting some renovations. And so we won't have any programming in August, other than some online workshops, and the bookstore will be open, but we're going to be rebuilding a few of the spaces that have been damaged by rain over the years. There's some flat roofs that need to be fixed. In particular, my office will be pretty much gutted and rebuilt. I would like to point out, the minute I leave, they renovate my office and give it to Jimmy. So make of that what you will. Take it up with Luivette. It's just the way it is. I'm sure it'll be a very nice space to spend time. That's right. Yeah. That's right. So Beyond Baroque will be closed for August. We'll be back for programming in the fall. Please do come check it out. Sort of low-key announcing too, we're going to be doing a major fundraiser in November. I think roughly November 8th. We're still locking down a date, possibly November 15th. But it will be, we usually do a gala in the fall. We're going to be moving the gala to the spring. This fall will be sort of a benefit, sort of well-known poets, other folks. I don't think I have to tell anybody at this point, like, what's going on in the arts, in our society, in the world, in our country right now. Beyond Baroque is very affected by this. We've lost funding. We're having other avenues of funding closed off to us. And so we're really trying to rally people to support poetry, to support the literary arts, to support everything we do here together collectively. And so that will be a big deal for us in the fall. I hope you're able to attend. If I'm not sick of all of you, I will probably be there too. But it is just really important. And so there'll be a lot more of those details announced, probably later in August or September as we sort of work them out. So please do support and if not just us, but all of our communities across Los Angeles, which are in a rough shape right now. So that's what's going on. I don't really know beyond that. My forecasting is not as good as it used to be. But more immediately, right here, right now, here tonight, we are having some readings. I made the rather bad decision to host my last program. I think I should just be here enjoying it. Here I am. But the reason I'm doing this is because I think I will miss it, for one thing. But for another thing, for me, this is really a chance to say thank you. Thank you to everybody in this room. I know many of you, most of you very, very well, have worked in a variety of capacities with you over many years. I have many of the Beyond Baroque community here. I have some old friends here, family members here. And so I really appreciate everybody being here. And so the readings here tonight, it was really, I sort of thought to myself, how could I possibly put together a program for my last day? And there was no good answer to that question. There's too many writers that I love. I love their work that I've worked with here over many years. There's too many poets that I'm close to. And so it's an impossible task. And so what I ended up deciding was I just really wanted to showcase a variety of writers who I've worked particularly close with in building Beyond Baroque, building community, or other kinds of programs. Even so, there are so many people in this room that would fill that category. And so what I just really wanted to do is have a group of people that I could say thank you as they come up, but also through them talk to everybody in the room and say thank you as well. And so it's pretty heavy on a lot of staff members of Beyond Baroque who are amazing writers, board members, partners, just people that have just given a lot to Beyond Baroque or to me personally, or that I formed a connection with over the years. And so I think we'll have fun. I hope we'll have fun. We'll find out. If not, there's still tacos afterwards. But yeah, I also, before we really get into that, I hope the program and some of what I have to say tonight will form a little bit of a picture of my own personal experience here, like how the place has grown over the past 12 years, where I'm coming from, why I'm here, and also the sense of community that's formed around this space, which is very important. It is a little bit of a top-heavy program. I usually do not say that much, other than give us money. And so I will be talking a lot more in ratio to the number of poems that are read. So I hope you all can bear with me on that. I will also be saying thank you to a lot of people. I will inevitably forget people, and so if I haven't thanked you, this is my blanket. Thank you. So yeah, I think I just kind of wanted to give a sense maybe of why I'm here, why I've been doing this for 12 years, which is not something I really address very often. in the work that I do, like even in conversation or certainly up here on stage, it's usually about the poets. The first thing to say is I think that does require some justification, because this job is not easy. It's not easy running a small nonprofit. It's not easy running a space for writers, even though I love them. It's not easy running a space for artists in the United States, which doesn't really care about artists all that much. It's not easy being in Venice, where there's a lot going on. I think variously over the years, I'm starting with the bad stuff. Doing this job, I have been punched in the face. I have broken up fights. I have seen people pass away. I have coaxed a naked woman down from climbing the tower out front. I have had our porch burned down by some woman who was, I think, holding a full moon ritual the night before we opened following the pandemic. I have dealt in this theater with the aftermath, I wasn't here for it, of an escaped mental patient attacking someone with a knife, which then resulted in other members of the audience beating him with folding chairs until he ran away. That was a long time ago. The security measures are much better now, so you don't have to worry about that. I've been told on this podium on more than one occasion to go fuck myself by angry poets. There's a few other examples. I can't think of them all. So why do I do this? I mean, one reason is I like it. Honestly. It's true. Even being punched in the face was kind of like an interesting experience. But there's also some other much deeper reasons that I do it. So the more obvious, deeper reason, not just that I like it, but I love language. I love all of it. I love the rhythm. I love the metaphors. I love the similes. Everything Luivette mentioned. I love the different ways people use language. I love it in its intensity. I love it sometimes in its freedom. That's something that keeps me going every day here. Kept me going before I got here. When I got here, I found a place where that was what people cared about. And that means a lot to me. On a deeper level, I don't trust language. That's also important to me. One of the things I think is very, very, very important about running a literary space is it allows writers and audiences to really come in contact with language. And language is something that is given to us. It's something we all have. It's something that's imposed on us to a certain extent. It structures who we are, the names we call ourselves. There's sort of big categories that we all deal with: race, gender, class. Those are all imposed on us to a certain extent. But many others besides that as well. And giving people the tools to write, to think about language, it's a way of sort of destabilizing that to a certain extent, rethinking yourself, rethinking the possibilities of the world around you. And that can be actually quite terrifying, because we often need a certain amount of structure and presence in our lives and certainty. It's also a glimpse at liberation, what exists outside those categories, what's possible. That can be terrifying too. It can also be incredibly important. That's why you see poets in times of political struggle. There's a big outpouring of poetry in those times, and I think that's really a big part of it, because there is a sense of freedom. And I really deeply believe that, and that's something that I think is absolutely crucial right now. Most of my tenure here has been a very turbulent time. First Trump administration, the pandemic, Black Lives Matter movement, all the things we've been dealing with that are not new things per se, but they've come to a head in very interesting ways. And having been here in this room and witnessed the sort of power of those of poets, and also seeing it in the workshops too, where people are working out very intimately their relationship to language and to their own lives and their own narratives. So I really, really, really do believe that very strongly, and I think it keeps all of us going who work here. But I think too, the very personal things for me too, that when I've been thinking a lot recently, because my father just passed, about my own life, and how lucky I've been. I grew up with a very nice family, very nice, very good people. Gave me a lot of freedom to be myself. Didn't have a lot of baggage. Everybody has baggage, but I felt very lucky. And I felt very lucky, in the rest of my life, up to a certain point. When I first got here to Beyond Baroque, many of you know this story, many of you do not. But I was very much in love. I was married, not just someone that, I think felt like the right thing at the time, but I was in a relationship that was very, very meaningful to me. It was someone that really understood me, that I understood her, a very close relationship. So it was my wife, Mackenzie, some of her family's here. Sorry if this is a little emotional. And that was a really beautiful thing, but she was an alcoholic. And so, by the way, there's a lot of AA meetings at Beyond Baroque in my time here that I've had to listen to, so I think some of that's coming out right now. I apologize for that. But, right about the time I started here at Beyond Baroque, like, she really started circling the drain in a really bad way, dark way. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of alcoholics, despite what they tell you. And this is dark, dark, dark stuff, like, drinking probably to kill yourself. And so that was breaking up when I started here. So this place was a very rough place to be, and maybe it felt good or something. Maybe it felt like the right thing for me to do. You can psychoanalyze me as you like. But I think coming to a space like this that builds community and builds connections amongst people was like something very important to me at that time, even though it was difficult. Beyond Baroque, my early days here was in a difficult place. It didn't have much money. There was still some infighting. People have done a really heroic job to keep it open. It's really hard to keep a space like this open over the years, but it wasn't in great shape financially. And there's a lot of stuff that comes with that. And so for whatever reason, I just, decided that this was maybe a place I wanted to make my own, and a space I wanted to make my own. And there was like some really challenging years in there where like my whole life felt like it was on fire, and like the place felt like it was on fire, and everything was just, kind of burning down. And sitting here in this room, and listening to other people and listening to their stories and their language, I'm not going to say that it was like healing. A lot of that time I actually wasn't really interested in that. I was interested in not having a narrative about myself or like what was sort of going on in my life. But it allowed me to get outside of myself, and allowed me to be with other people, and allowed me to understand other people's experiences and relationships to their language and their life. And so over a sort of a long period of time, that's kind of what happened. And sitting here, it wasn't easy in those years. There's a few people in the room who can really testify that. I mean, Emmett, I don't know where Emmett is. Emmett was here for a good chunk of that. It was hard. But one of the things I hope that comes out over the course of this reading is kind of relationships that form, the art that gets made, what gets built over time. And that's been very profound to me. And it was also very much an act of love. So to go back to the story of Mackenzie, my wife, I feel like I'm leaving a few things out. She slipped away into alcoholism. We split up a long time ago. We were very, 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 very close in a way that's, I think, even unusual amongst couples. Never really could turn away from that fully myself. So I decided to stay close to her throughout all of that, which was very, very hard to do. And she actually ended up sobering up and getting better, and talking to her like every week. And then one day she called me and said, I relapsed and I don't want to die. And then she died 9 days later. And so that happened about 2 years ago. And so at that point, that was, I think that's been a long journey. And so that was kind of very hard to deal with. And I think it was also a moment where I came back around to the sense of community and the sense of people that I had sort of formed relationships with here. And one of the things that changed over 12 years here is I just started to love the community, like the people that worked here, the people that I met. and came to sort of just be happy here in this space with the people. It wasn't hard anymore. Hard work. It wasn't hard to be here. It was with people that I cared about, that I learned from, and I learned how to deal with these kind of situations. And so when I started here, I was a writer. And when I started going through some of this stuff, I just stopped writing. I didn't care. I didn't want to write. Like I said, I didn't want a narrative. I wanted to essentially shut the fuck up. And then over the past couple of years, I've come back to that. I've come back to writing again. It's an interesting question why. I spent a lot of time thinking about that. And so that's kind of what I'm doing too. That's one of the reasons I felt like it was finally time to leave. Is I wanted to write and a little space for that. So. The AA is strong in this place. George Smith, who can't be here unfortunately, was an alcoholic when he found out he was closeted, and so he has a whole long story about his journey as founder of this place. You know. Anyways, that's kind of what this place means to me, and that's really why I want to say thank you, because as much as I've tried to do for the community, like what it's given to me has been very, very, very powerful, and I owe so much to those of you I'm close to, others of you who are artists, and that I don't know as well, but I just appreciate your work. Just friends of the space, friends who have come, who aren't poets. So truly, thank you. That's what really tonight is about. I have talked way too long, and so I kind of want to dive into the readings and just saying a few things about each reader. We are going to start off, I hope, with our former president of the board, Shonda Buchanan, who is our one virtual guest. Shonda, this is really weird. I can't look at you. This is one of the things I have tried to treat Beyond Baroque is as wild of a space it is. I have tried to treat it as a job. And there's a lot of work that needs to get done here. And Shonda was our president for I think 4 years, and she and I were, I personally think, a great team. One of the reasons we're a great team is Shonda is sort of a very different person than me. I'm like kind of reserved. And Shonda's like the most radiant person I know. She is like out there in the world, and she is like a brilliant writer. She is like willing to talk to anybody and to ask them for money. Important. But to build an institution, and so like there were some difficult days in there in the pandemic, and she was really there for me and for the organization. And so part of this is a thank you to her, thank you to all of our presidents, as well, Doug Knott, who has passed away, a dear friend, Andy Schwartz, who is here, who basically saved us during the difficult time of Beyond Baroque. Luivette, of course, who I'll talk about a little bit later, but I guess I just want to leave it there to start with. We're going to get to Shonda, who's a brilliant writer and is now in Michigan. So she's our one virtual guest today. So please, everyone, welcome Shonda Buchanan.
Yes. Quentin, can you hear me? So I want to say that Quentin is the king of Beyond Baroque. It has been such an honor to work with him, one of the most decent people that I know. And every time that I saw him, that first time that we were having, we had like dinner or drinks at someone's house, and I thought, wow, this is a pretty cool guy. He's cute too. And then, I was like, oh, but I'm going to join the board. So we can't act on this passion that we have for each other. Anyway, joke, total joke. But yeah, the time that we spent together, the work that we did together, oh my gosh, the pandemic was such an interesting time to work together, and Quentin pulled us through. I have to say, everyone, he is a cat herder. He is a shepherd of Beyond Baroque. Just someone who time and time again has pulled us through and given everything that he could to this place. I know he spent 80 hours sometimes at this place. So please, 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 as he says, the asking for money part, if you want to say, thanks, Quentin, give us money, and give him money too. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Quentin, for everything that you've done for Beyond Baroque, for all of us. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. I want to read this poem, and in order to read the poem, I need to evoke the people who have come to mind as I was thinking about what to read. And so I want to call in people who were important to me and brought me to Beyond Baroque, which is Marilyn Murphy. I want to call in Ashe Ashe. I want to call in Wanda Coleman. Ashe Ashe. I want to call in Sequoia Mercier. Ashe Ashe. And then I want to call in Peter Harris. Peter Harris, who adored Quentin, like we all adored Quentin. And again, when I was thinking about what to read, I said, I'm going to read one of my Nina Simone poems. And then Peter tapped me on my head. He said, sis, go get my book, Bless the Ashes. And I said, okay. And then I was like, what do you want me to read? And just flipped directly to his poem, Bless the Ashes. And so I want to read this for Peter to bring him into this homegoing of Quentin leaving but not leaving, an exit but still maintaining. I call on my June, January mother with summer name. I call on her New York voice freed from tracheotomy tube to mash lumps of bad memories until I'm gravy again. I call on my June to help me bless the ashes of my ripening as I flower finally in the compost of her death, and my heart breaks and wilted friendships flatline after the smiles of lovers became leers of jack-o'-lanterns. I can see her full moon face rise from the handwriting that overwhelmed the single spaces of letters she wrote me on groaning legal paths. She is crying. My mother could cry and crown a moment with the majesty of grief, her tears welling from the whole residue of a life as a foster child, whose birth certificate said white and whose death certificate said Negro. She is laughing. My mother could laugh and soothe departure, her tears welling from the whole joy of a working woman whose social security number said dependable and whose Harris family addresses documented her refusal to pass. She is crying. She is laughing, wiping her nose with the same corner of Kleenex I handed her in 1965. Her visit soothing me like the bath she drew to make chickenpox stop itching, comforting me like her fearless kiss on my scabby soft spot, like the clean sheets she spread on my twin bed. She'd come to dance with me on the second line, winding back home from her funeral. She says, it's time to stop mourning. Her death, my heartbreaks and wilted friendships, and her bedtime kiss, the ripped pages of her 20-year-old letters, the clink of quarters she handed me with orders to run downstairs and buy her a chocolate sundae from the frozen custard truck with its tinkling bell. Our Saturday night trips to buy me the latest Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer comic books. Every time to stop mourning the tough love. Like the time she told me I would regret throwing away my John Denver records because I was a black nationalist promising I'd never again be the Rocky Mountain High. And the afternoon she peeped unspoken frustration over my first marriage, then laughed and said, I'd hate to see when you all really sad. When I shouted through snot and tears that everything was fine and I was okay, and why don't you mind your own business? She said it's time to stop mourning. Start dancing. Follow the badass band, playing the music for the ceremony that will bless the ashes that gotta be swept away. If we ever breathe again after death and heartbreak and wilted friendships, start singing the songs, blending words and music into perfect whole, spiced with the honesty of a brother, inhaling the incense of his falsetto, and laughing out the blue when the lyrics fall from his mouth, hit the sidewalk, and he hear background harmony swelling the cracks in the cement, covering the new American earth beneath, and my mother stepping wide style like the two converted wallflowers we are, saying, fuck this standing around. Let's dance this time. Legs pumping like Ghanaian women pounding foo-foo. Let's dance this time. Arms waving like church fans, air conditioning the Baptist skin of our Virginia aunts. Let's dance this time. Eyes closed, trusting we ain't stepping on nobody's toes. Let's dance this time. Finding music in the pounding pain of our lives. Let's laugh. Let's hug. Let's party. Then turn to our past and speak, my bad, or I forgive you. Speak. Keep dancing. Following trail away from funerals for every good that's ever died naturally. Since I'm flesh, she out of body, I ask, why I got to give up like I got horizon on my forehead? Why I got to have open heart surgery with invisible yes and sidewalk whispers as anesthesia? Why can't I hold a grudge and swear on the shelter of calcified indignation? Shit. She don't even miss a beat. Ask me, what do you stand for in the lives of your friends? She points to the ghosts holding up the walls we pass. They lining our path like soul-trained dancers who forgot which beat to honor. They wearing clothes that make me think it's the two wives I've left. Children whose raising is pockmarked with gaps in time. It's the last lover who see her future without my touch. A friend whose hand turned radioactive on his woman because he couldn't say goodbye to her. But they all wearing my face. They all me. Mom's turned to me. Trach tube, a rattlesnake in her throat. I hear her rasping funeral arrangements to me as I sit with her in the ICU room at the Greater Southeast Memorial Hospital in July 1984. I'm taking dictation. Patient as she speaks, pauses to catch her breath, tries to rise on her right elbow, falls back. I'm taking dictation from my dying mother, asking for her Peter J., the journalist, the poet, to overwhelm the single spaces of the ceremonial journal I was writing on, the groaning hospital notepad. Since I was her flesh, she was my mommy, I asked what we were doing. She smiled, wrinkled the horizon on her forehead, said, who else? Knowing I'd know she was right. This was my gift, not dad's, or a big brother's, or little sister's. This was my job, facing the ghosts, speaking for the ghosts, dancing with the ghosts. That's what I stand for in the lives of my friends. I see my new moon face reflected in her handwriting. I am crying. I cry and crown a moment with the majesty of grief, my tears welling from the whole life she helps me learn how to live. I am laughing. I laugh and hear her New York voice, a symphony out my mouth. Woo! Come on, Peter. My tears welling from the whole joy she gives me. Permission to learn how to live. We unlock the door to the shelter of calcified indignation. My mother and I, living invitation. We joined on the second line by every me I've ever been. Every good that's ever died is alive in our moment. It's time to stop mourning. Follow the badass band, playing the music for the ceremony that will bless in ashes, that got to be swept away if we ever breathe again after death and heartbreak and wilted friendships. My mother say, fuck this standing around. The funeral is back that away. Live, keep dancing, speak, keep dancing, say my bad or I forgive. It's time to stop mourning. Keep your head to the sky and tear the roof off the sucker. Thank you.
And also for Peter J. Harris, who I met when I was 20 years old. I loved him then. I love him now. We miss him. So next up, we have the great Will Alexander. Will was Beyond Baroque for me in the very beginning. It was a difficult place here, as I said, and Will was our poet in residence. And a lot of my early days in Beyond Baroque were just focused on talking to Will. He's one of the great surrealist poets, one of the great experimental poets, someone deeply, deeply, deeply invested in expansive conception of language. And I think when I got here, I decided for myself that this is what I want to support. This is what work I want to do. And he's given me a huge amount over the years. And so please everyone give it up for Will Alexander, Beyond Baroque's poet in residence.
Very, very honored to celebrate Quentin on his moving forward in life or away from his zone. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to not take too long. I think poetry should be very effective and sometimes abrupt, although I've written longer works than this. This is just a recent poem and came out in the Paris Review. And it's called Torrential by Unknown Emergence. By the way, the sea is quite glistening with mystery. The sea is quite glistening with mystery. So we'll work with this as a moving form. Linguistically. Its bottoms, mysterious ocean mirrors that blaze, that fall, and spawned oxygen meters, that rivet as spectral gladioli, never by barren transmixture, but by holographic mirrors that spiral and transmute by miraculous living pattern, that forego impasse by pure events. Not unlike pilot registration that abounds with deficit, being amplification by wind, by exploded crystallography, sands, formational shelter, never scaled by positioned algae, by summoned mythical bickering, not riotous calligraphy, or delimited doctrinal maze that tends to scramble its own mazes, not as deficit or by torrential affliction, but code beyond reversal, not as philosophical expenditure being torrential by unknown emergence. It's my opinion that poetry is not an entertainment, but should spark the mind to continue to work. 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon. Poetry to me is a living torrent that I enter and work through in life. And we'll just do one other piece here just to keep going. Called A Nexus of Phantoms. Comes from my second New Directions book. My first New Directions book. It's called A Nexus of Phantoms. In a lorikeet cave, motions exist of disintegrated swans. In a translocated lake brimming with harvested poisons, healed by corruptive postmortems. Such swans, staggered by microbial reasoning, their aggressive nest anatomical with anomaly, with vast of strenuous incarnadine leanings, with a thirst which hurdles conspiratorial invasives, alive with coronal oceanics, open like a clouded trail of rendings. Analogous with the auks, pelicans, the mergansers, perhaps with the petrels and the gannets, under the power of darted, mocking orations. Swans looking back on solemn blood perusal, like form of death breaking roses on a shore. It is the example of phonograms, of lost and compacted lenses, turning within a charismatic fall line, or an isoneph, or what avian would announce in Greenland as a catabolic wind. The swans, like a haze of magnetism or implied gondola locations, where the scent of each lorikeet is consumed and brought to dazzling eclipse refulgence. In another foci, in another depth, their form self-challenged, in a cloak of suns, their power be revealed with 7 moons burning, reduced to 2 intense incendiary magnets. And these incendiary magnets, like a nexus of phantoms, scattered across the geometric optometry.
Will Alexander, everybody. Beyond Baroque's poetry residence. Thank you, Will. All right. So Will was like the major part of my early time here, sort of intellectually, artistically. I want to fast forward a little bit to one of Beyond Baroque's employees, Rhiannon Cielos Chavez. Just started with us last year. And I think it was kind of like the moment where I felt like our staff had sort of forming like Voltron, Wu-Tang. Like he was like the final piece. We took a staff trip to the Bay last summer, and actually it was the first time I'd heard him read. And like I hire good poets. How did this happen? It wasn't part of the job interview. But I'm like really, really grateful to our staff as it is now. Just to give you an example of why our last gala, hard work, cleaned up afterwards, so we'll be in the room. And then Rhiannon and Jenna and I went out to get a slice of pizza at like 1:30 in the morning after having finished. And we were really tired, and Rhiannon whips out his notebook and it's like, what we do in my family is we draw pictures of each other. We just sat around and drew pictures. I'm a terrible artist. They make fun of me all the time for it. But this is the kind of, this is really important to me, like to have a group of people. They just, they want to make art all the time. They do. It's like the most beautiful thing I know. Please welcome Rhiannon.
You say that, Quentin, and I had to run out of here really quick because I wanted to grab this drawing I made for you as a goodbye present. It's of our Beyond Baroque family, and I'm so grateful that I was hired here and that you allowed me to become a part of this family. And this is a place that I don't want to leave anytime soon, and I'm sad that you're leaving, but glad that you're also sticking around. I wrote a little thing because I'm bad at improvising, but I think it's fitting that I get to go after Will Alexander because the poem I'm going to read, it's only one of 2 poems I've written about Venice, but it's about the time I saw Will Alexander driving out of the Yum Yum Donuts parking lot. But seriously, I should have more than 2 poems about Venice because I've worked here for over a year now, and Venice has become a big part of my life. And a big part of my life here in Venice has been Quentin Ring. And I'm so thankful that I've gotten to work with you, but sad that I've only gotten 1 year. Alright, this poem is called Venice in Grandview. Will Alexander through windshield, exiting Yum Yum lot. Big eyes, big stains, powdered jelly already on lips, seatbelt, fingertips, therefore steering wheel. Front tires angled right, beanied head turned left, watching for me. Then, matrix collision of solar proportions. Me through windshield, I fly, too excited seeing astronomical philosopher eating $2.99 meal deal. Coffee splashes boulevard, right pimple pops off upper forehead with rest gooing to gutter. He, worried, emerges from scarred shiny, slaps sandwich down, mayo mix with me. Boy who prints my poems, are you hurt? As for shrapnel lodged under teeth, some big words escape. Spruce, stolen cat, busted bumper, caved car, I am toast, 89 cents. Scoops me into powdered palms, I transcend solid matter, seeping through poet philosopher fingernails until perpetual crescents of me, the underneath, every blue divine henceforth. So, yeah, those emails, get them to me by end of day.
Yeah, Cielos, Chavez, everybody. All right, next up, we have Kevorkian, who was a board member here at Beyond Baroque for a number of years. She is very tragically not on the board anymore. She's very sad about that. There's a lot of pressure at a place like Beyond Baroque to do different things, to have a yoga studio or launch a kombucha line or whatever it is happening in Venice. I have fielded questions and proposals about. Karen is deeply serious about poetry and about language, and she in a lot of ways has been the bedrock for me of what this place is meant to be in terms of being really rigorous about thinking about language. And so she's been a friend and a partner in working here. She's brought in all kinds of artists to the space. She is the one who sort of brought in Johanna Drucker, who was here a moment ago, who helped organize our archive, who I'm also deeply thankful to. Karen's a member of the What Books Press collective, giant collective, who is I should thank all those people, some of who are here tonight, for all the work they do for poetry and the Beyond Baroque. It's like a real poet's poet, and that's like core to who we are. So please, everyone, welcome Kevorkian.
Did you really say all those things? Thank you, Quentin. I love Beyond Baroque. I have loved it since the first time I came here, and I thought, oh God, they got a bookstore. That's good. You know, a poetry bookstore. How good is that? So, I've been really happy here. It is community for me, and I come here a lot. I've done some projects here, and can I say it, Jimmy? Jimmy was my student. And I said, Jimmy, you should go over there and intern. But he's way past that. Wait till you read his new book. All right. I want to say a brief thing about what I write about. Basically, I think we are always in combat with the world we live in, the time we live in. But I think those things are often tangible, often intangible. And so that pretty much sums up where I go in the poems that I write. The title of this one, it's a new poem. To feel only that's a table, that's a chair. Beyond the room, a woman's voice. Roberto es muerto, ayúdame. Words understood, if not the question. Pulled through dark to a hotel hallway's yellow skin light. The woman's arm held courteously by a uniformed man. Behind them others in and out of a room you would recognize by its sameness, though the woman could not have seen the river. The man kneeling to replace her foot loosened from a slipper, never secure this kind of shoe. Next morning, fierce cold on a bridge across wide, dark flowing, where an ungloved man plays a child-sized piano. Below, on an accumulation of brown leaves, the ritually still wings of cormorants, white feathered wisp of egrets performing spindle-legged probing. Another city, where rain coming down loosely tarps it in silver, where words pinned on morning thermals, air wet with newsprints, blurred telling. Like an overhead gel dappling a dusty stage, a breaking sun smudges ideas of grass, or turbulent waters, lulling moodiness. Like house lights going down, a lingering bright spot on a still lowered curtain, tired sheen. The woman taken care of, and the man, a question answered by a shrug. You content yourself with having asked.
Kevorkian, everyone. One of the things that was very important to me at Beyond Baroque, from my own point of view, about what I wanted to do with the space was I want to continue its tradition of really being just more than a poetry space, something that intersects, poetry intersects with the visual arts, with other literary arts. And I also want it to be an international space. I really think it's very important to think transnationally. especially now, but I mean, I think it's probably core to who I am as well. So our next poet, Ramón García, is actually one of just someone I feel very closest to in terms of programming. He was a board member here as well. And he is a brilliant poet himself. He's a scholar of the visual arts. He's done a huge amount to introduce the visual arts into Beyond Baroque, and to help us think particularly about literature in Los Angeles in relation to Mexico. And he's just someone I completely relied on as a programmer and a friend here at Beyond Baroque. And so I really just want everyone to give a warm welcome to Ramón García, wherever he is.
Thank you, Quentin. Well, I'm honored that you would ask me to celebrate your adieu or semi-adieu. I do want to thank Karen Kevorkian and Gail Ronsky, who brought me into the board. And I have to admit, I wasn't sure in what way I could be of service. I'd never been on a board before. But I think I learned a lot from Quentin's leadership and just from watching him and of course relying on him and getting his advice and his support also for the things that I was interested in initiating and carrying through. So I do want to thank the board also, especially Shonda also, who helped me a lot. And I've just grown a lot, and I really am very grateful for that. And also, I think I've always kind of felt like an outsider, and here I don't. And so it's been kind of a really nice existential crisis. So I'm going to read just this one poem, Ars Poetica. I redirect prayers until God has no need of them and sends them back for safekeeping. Clouds map a homeland, the more earthbound I am. A flight of gulls, choreographed wings marking a passage above suburban housing tracts, draw a dyslexic language of freedom. By prophetic default, I recognize demons, feed their estrangement in mirrors of necessity. Predator beasts have feasted on my heart, and what remains, delicate feathers of a bird, escaped a stray cat's attack. My calling, the neglected enigma of the tarot reader, psychic palm reader house bordering the 99 freeway near Merced, its neon frame illuminated blue and white in the flat expanse of night. A huge sign of a hand palm beckons from the house's front, greets drivers, and farewells them as they pass. Thank you.
Ramón García, everyone. All right, our next reader is Genesis Perez. I should probably introduce Jenna by saying there are our bookstore and programs assistant, and that they have really just brought a sense of warmth and joy to the space that I think it needed. That they've, I think, really more than anybody else, has made the staff and the larger community even feel like a family when they come here. That we're all very grateful for that. I should really say all of that. I don't want to say that. I want to introduce them by saying they're my friend. So please, everyone, welcome Genesis Perez.
In situations like this, I have the intense urge to be like funny and self-deprecating, and it's one of those rare occasions where I'm going to play this uncomfortably straight. So stretch now. Some of my favorite texts I've gotten from Quentin include just "Hail Satan" in all caps. Some several GIFs and funny comments, and the phrase, excellent Miss Piggy content today, in reference to a meme. And so, but on top of all of those is probably one of my favorite, oh, by the way, do you want to read my thing on the first? And I was like, oh, you're going away thing. Yeah, sure. And then I try to think of what to read for it, and I write a lot of really heavy, intense stuff sometimes, and no one wants to hear that. I'm working on a lengthy piece called In Your 20s, and it's just trying to capture this time in my life. There's so much changing all the time, and it's giving me so much anxiety. And I keep capturing little chunks of it, and I was tinkering with it and trying to figure out what was going to happen next. And I ended up writing a poem about Quentin. So this is In Your 20s, 5 for Quentin. You're in your 20s, and you're always saying hello, and you're always saying goodbye, and you're always a friend or a stranger, sometimes to yourself. It's a swirling, sweeping dance that leaves you dizzy on the floor. To cope, you write poems about college radio, murder-suicides, and men who don't dream until they dream of you. And if you need another word that rhymes with pavement, you'll trip on your tongue, slip in your words and sit in them, red-faced and worried. Or maybe you'll build 40-foot walls around yourself, topped with barbed wire and searchlights and guard towers, safe, sound, secluded. Or maybe you'll lose yourself in a David Lynch maze of red moons, of red eyes, of red. You're in your 20s and you're constantly caught in between the life you think you should have and the life you actually do. Sometimes you think you see it, a shimmering light in the distance until it turns into the headlights of an oncoming car. It's a swirling, sweeping dance that leaves you dizzy on the floor. To cope, you whine to other cars stalled in traffic, and to men who used to be boys with freckles. And if you need a story in 100 words or less, find it here. Somewhere between youthful naivety and fledgling dread, find it here. Somewhere between a laugh and a prayer, find it here. Somewhere between the heart as a fierce muscle and the heart as a soft thing to hold, find it here. Somewhere between the body as violence and the body as a song, find it here. You're in your 20s and you're reconciling with your body. You don't have to be a torturer or a cage, sometimes to yourself. It's a swirling, sweeping dance that leaves you dizzy on the floor. To cope, you spar with the ghost of a girl who finds you weak and men who see you as a tiger. And if you ever need a reminder that everything will one day settle, that your emotional turbulence will not stop you from flying, that you're not alone in this universe, that there is love all around you if you let it in, you will know who to ask. You always have.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. By the way, the Miss Piggy content, I strongly identify with Miss Piggy, so I get sent Miss Piggy content on the regular. Or whatever. There's a whole other story. Next up, we have Laurel Ann Bogen. Laurel Ann is one of the most important members of this community. When I joined Beyond Baroque, she was the vice president of our board. Long, complicated period where we were building up the place, and she was an absolute rock. I could trust her with anything. She's an amazing poet, and really just one of the kindest, most wonderful people that I know. Yeah, please give it up for Laurel Ann Bogen.
Thank you, Quentin. Can you hear me okay? Down more? How about that? Thank you. I decided to go color coordinated today. So I wrote this book called Psychosis in the Produce Department. And I feel like all poets should spend some time in the produce department, but most of all at Beyond Baroque. And My poem is called My Sentence, and it's about my relationship with my art. My sentence. The noose of it wears me big. I weigh and grind my words with method, efficiency, afraid of what they might say and punctuate of my life. At first, I was confused, could not, unknot the stray tangents. The first time I saw my mother, the last kiss before sleep, wanted to round up order and let meaning fall where it may. Later, I played it out as it showed itself to me, coaxed my human mind to mastery. I have served my sentence with devotion, watched as it flailed and rose on the page, becoming that which I could never be. Poetry. Here's to the poets, here's to Quentin.
Laurel Ann Bogen, everybody. I do want to mention there's a couple of people that were supposed to be here that can't be here this evening. One was Ryka Aoki. She had a conflict. She was a very dear, close friend, especially in the early years of Beyond Baroque as an advisor to me and to the organization. And the other is David St. John, who's unfortunately just not feeling well tonight. But I mentioned that right now because our next reader, Liz Johnson, I think came to Beyond Baroque through David and through the USC program. I admit in like a lot of grant applications, like this is what the world needs. It's not MFA programs. It's not PhD programs in literature. It's like independent community. There's sort of like a false like description I use a lot, and it is false because what I think someone like David has done and what Liz has sort of taken up as well is this idea of trying to make sure that, literature that sort of happens in the university finds a sense of community, finds a place like Beyond Baroque to build those bridges between different spaces so that it's not all, there's not a sort of division between academia and poetry community. Over the course of that time, so Liz came and sort of started she ran our Wednesday night workshop, and then she started a series here called The Golden Mean. And over that time, I've just really came to appreciate her and the work she does in the community and her work. That's really a kind of a model for what I want Beyond Baroque to be, is to gather people who want to build community around poetry and literature. And so I'm very grateful to her for that. So please, everybody, welcome L.A. Liz Johnson.
It's an honor to be here with all of you tonight, and congratulations, Quentin. I'm excited for everything to come. How am I sounding with the mic? Okay, good. Lower. Okay. Yeah, for me, just Beyond Baroque has been a home for me, and a community that is so important. I think all of us as writers feel the most like writers when we are here with other people doing the same crazy things we're doing. I love all of you at Beyond Baroque, and I'm just so happy to be a part of this community. I really appreciated what you said in the opening talk about your hope for what language can do, and so I'm going to read a poem in that vein. Invented Landscape. It is the world as I've never seen it. The sky, a kaleidoscope of orange blossoms, and seagulls that drift soft as dandelion, and snow that falls but then changes to glossy clouds, thin as cotton, that float in gentle breeze. where the glow from a high balcony becomes a portal to an orchard untouched by human hands, where every tree blooms with tufts of ivory, the rain descending with low music as the earth cools and smells of soap. A kite in the sky loops higher and higher in the wind until the kite is a circle with no beginning, a day that never ends in night, and a child glimpses wonder in its salt air sail, holding all mystery on a string. This is the world as I've never seen it. I've woken in dark rooms. I've toiled days facing an empty wall. I want to write the world gorgeous enough for my father to return to it. A world where oceans meet. A world of lands never split with fire. Where you can tell the time by the stars or the sun or by the dimming minutes themselves, the way they feel light in your hand.
Here's Johnson, everybody. That's beautiful. One of the things that's really important in Los Angeles and wider as well is all the people who build community. We're talking a lot about Beyond Baroque. Our next reader, Ashaki Jackson, is a big part of Beyond Baroque, but one of the reasons I wanted to have her here too is the immense amount of work that she does across the city, as the publisher of the offing. Are you still doing? Have you stepped down yet? You did something like that? Not last month. Well, as the former publisher of the offing, as one of the co-founders of Women Who Submit on with Sochi, Julissa Bermejo, who's not here, but who also deserves all the credit in the world, as an amazing poet, and just someone I wish I saw more of. She's very busy with her work, and I'm here a lot, and so I think I had the idea to invite her to read here just because I wanted to see her and hang out with her tonight. And so I just love Ashaki. She's just one of my favorite people, and she's done a huge amount for a huge amount of people in the city. So please, everybody, welcome Ashaki Jackson.
Thank you. Variously, I was trying to think of the first time we met, and my memory is foggy because of the type of work I do. I'm a data analyst, so everything is the matrix to me. And then you start to talk about all those fiascos, and I was like, wait, did I punch Quentin? Is that how we met? I said, wait, I remember fire. Did I burn down the porch? But I feel like it was an email, and you said, hey, can you stop by and help out? And I was like, I'm on my way. It's just an honor and a blessing to have a friendship that burgeons so naturally that you don't have a starting point. And I think many of us feel that way about Quentin, that he has a seat in his heart for each of us. There's endless seats, something like this fire hazard right here. This is the reason that you couldn't find parking. Everybody is here for Quentin in this neighborhood this evening. So, again, I'm just honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the work that you've done, supporting the literary community, building Beyond Baroque, being just sacrificial to make this thing work. I have a poem to read, only reading it because the first time I read it was for the Amanda Gorman Fellowship winners. It was the Safer at Home initiative, so you got my Zoom face. I chose a poem, and after I read the poem, I sent a text message that said, I just love you, Ashaki. And it was about the poem. And I got that tingle. So now I know it's the best poem I've ever written in my life. Because what is it like for Quentin Ring to love you? American Negro. 1. My hair is a bird of paradise in heat. I change skins each summer. My body rips and heals like a watermelon with good sugar. I am red-boned. Men call me red. I am a thick trunk magnolia. I shade, I read psalms for lifelines. 2. My savings account glints like bullion, or is swollen like cotton bales. My body has not known children. I am a full-grown rattle shaking with well-fought joy. I have 2 parents, an inheritance. My living room is coated in books. I know not to end my life with a preposition. My lexicon is built of meat. My people know feasts. 3. My body is the last slave ship to these states. I, sovereign nation. Look at my names and count my origins. My genes so tight you can see my tribes. Colleagues remark on my speech. I know whites speak like water. I curl my tongue like politics. I speak from every angle. My family named me Wonder. I was born to be mantle and joy. Call me saint. 4. My grandfathers were 6 feet fine. I am towering. Common men giggle at my miles. My grandmothers were bird-boned and quick to escape. They carried weapons on their bodies. I wear a very good bra with space for a blade. Sharp is what my teachers called me, who did not understand the difference between smart and survival. I have no criminal history and a fire on my body. I am a burning bush telling you what to do. You will listen. 5. I have a debutante dress and good manners. I respect my parents' corrections. I have home training. Listen to my use of ma'am and sir. My black hellos are generous. My take care sounds like go north. I speak in warnings. 6. I hold open doors for my elders. They remember when we couldn't make eye contact with white folk. I remember telling that white boy that I would skin him clean if he grabbed my hair again. I looked him dead in his fears. I have audacity and permission to own this body. 7. My gut is a sanctuary. Men pray here. I am portable safety. Call me North Star. Ogle my shine. I lead Negroes out of bondage. I use shea butter. Children slide their hands across my calves, searching for mama. Grown adults lean on me. Call me sturdy and know I will not bend. I am tired. Thank you.
Ashaki Jackson, still love you. All right, we need to talk a little bit about Perez. One of the really the most enjoyable things I've done here at Beyond Baroque was, as I think a lot of you know, we sent 8 poets to Paris last year at the closing of the summer Olympiads, cultural Olympiads, and then produced a whole event here with 48 other poets downtown at the library, and that was just a really wonderful experience for me. And the next poet that we have reading is Sarah Yanni, who was one of the poets who went with me to Paris as part of that. And I can definitely say that I think that experience and just getting to be friends with Sarah and a few of the other folks that were there, maybe thought, maybe I should just get outside of Beyond Baroque and try to be friends with the writers outside of being here every Friday, every Saturday night. So I really wanted to include her because she's just a great poet. She's just someone that I really appreciated sort of having that kind of intense experience with. I was just talking with her before. The final reading in Paris was in this boxing ring that they set up downtown, the Place du Châtelet. Crowds of people there. The mayor of Los Angeles was there. The mayor of Paris was there. And I never thought in poetry I would have a Rocky moment. But Sarah was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I like took out the mouth guard, was like, and she gave an incredible reading. And so I'm looking forward to her reading right now. Yanni, everybody.
Thank you, Quentin. Yeah, I think I live on the east side, so I don't come to the west side a lot. And it took us going all the way to France to meet. Yeah, poets are sometimes very introverted. I include myself in that. And I think going to this opportunity in Europe, obviously, like, you know, big deal. We don't get to do things that are paid for in poetry world a lot. And yeah, I just remember the first day I was like really shy, and Quentin was the first person I met when I was like trying to haul my suitcase on like streets that were rocky and anyway, yeah, we had a great time. And you were our fearless leader and friend and companion and cheerleader when I was scared to go in the boxing ring. So I'm just really grateful for you and for Beyond Baroque. I've been privileged to participate in quite a few events here, especially some great community events with other Swana and Palestinian authors, and it's meaningful to know that this is an organization that, I don't know, cares about things when so many don't. I'm just going to read one poem, like everyone, called Hero's Journey. The 8-year-old girl with curly hair has barrettes and a uniform skirt. It goes past her outturned knees, billows like a picnic blanket when she sits to read at lunch. Little does she know of what Keats's Grecian urn foretold. Little does she know of martyrs. Life is sold to us as a going somewhere when really it's a return. Takes time to remember the beauty of descent, how the child is far more in tune with the mountain's deep time. When a toddler learns 2 languages at once, it simply is. No distance from the sensing, no assimilation urge yet digested. The feral language of youth dances its mysterious and random rhythm, spoken from a body which has not yet lost the wonder of the world to speed. A body which is much closer to the clay, the sandbox bugs and snakes who spend their whole lives with their bellies on the earth. Her city has not yet burned, her symbols not petrified. The theater of her mind resembles most closely a waterfall. She knows the sound of the oud much as she knows the airplane's lilt. Still some years from counting, desperate, the other dark heads in class. In constant quest for this beginning, I retrain my mouth to lost sounds. I dream of this story, not to rewrite it, but to sing along. To leave the world of intelligence, my guidance a countermap, then never reaching the story's conclusion 1,001 nights forever. To kiss the child's fluted bones, a mythical act of collapse, the past-present boundary ebbing as the sea, reminding the ribs of the harmony and dissonance, telling them to relax, back to a time before the issue of home rung like a monastery bell, married to this melancholy, like nuns married to Christ, ring fingers bound in holy gold, like a painful and radiant love, a moth burning itself in flame, wings open and fire red, just to get closer to the light. Thank you.
Yanni, everybody. Good up. All right. Next we have Essay Griffin. Essay. It's been like the heart and soul of Beyond Baroque. Sorry, I'm not calling you old, Essay, but for a long time. when I got here, he was incredibly welcoming. He's been an incredible supporter of everything that goes on here, and he's really, I think, the keeper of a tradition that's deeply, deeply important to Beyond Baroque, of the beat tradition, not as it's mythologized, not as it appears in the media, but as it appears for artists who genuinely want to live a different way, practice their art, open up boundaries between the arts. Some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen here in this theater, SA has been involved with. And so for that and for his friendship, I'm just incredibly grateful. So please, everybody, welcome SA Griffin.
Thank you, Quentin. I'm honored to be here. Honored to be here. And thank you for everything that you've done to help move this place forward and carry on with George's. And thank you all for being here tonight. Lady, we are here for the sweet stigmata of the poem. My buddy Scott Wanberg, whom that bookstore is named for, wrote this poem. Scott really was my brother. We traveled the entire country together, and we traveled inside each other together. And I miss him every day. No mercy. You got no mercy in your hair, the way you shake it in traffic and cause all those blinded drivers to slam on their bewildered brakes, the way your eyes invite one to suddenly snap in half with the thought of it all. Oh, those horrible, wondrous, nasty thoughts of it all. No mercy on a stick. You buy it at the corner convenience. No mercy on the tip of your tongue as the air forces of all the belligerent nations involved pile into each other during rush hour when the sky is full of ornery birds back-talking each other in strident glee. No mercy in the dark room where everyone gets exposed, even the quiet ones sitting there by themselves in the, oh, just let them alone and they will let you live corner. You know how it goes. They say your name enough times, and even you, sooner or later, begin to believe it is actually your own. No mercy in the headlines, grabbing you by the throat and the pupils. All you wanted to do was digest your goddamn meal anyway, but you had to go and open up the paper, and the TV turned itself on and spat at you with bullshit. And the pretty anchor people were all dead inside, and all you could do was fall onto your knees right in front of it all and sing, "No mercy in the headlines, no mercy in the bloodstream, no mercy in the chorus line, no mercy in the Richter scale." Just wanted to come and play in your sandbox of mercy. I just wanted to climb into a comfortable bed alongside your wise, sacred mercy. No mercy in the playground of nameless children. We are their fathers. We are their mothers. We go and rinse them out of our skin, but the rinse cycle never ends. No mercy in the toothpaste. You scrub and brush and scrub and floss, but your teeth are not elected. Your teeth don't get the lead part. They don't even get a walk-on. I came here years ago for the mercy. I'm sorry. All the mercy is gone. We ran out last night. We have it on order. How long will it take for my mercy to come in? Oh, well, the local distributor is all out of it. They have it on back order. No mercy school just opened. The tuition, non-existent. You just stand in the middle of the door, and if someone is stupid enough to walk up to you and ask you to let them love you, all you have to do is either kill them with a weapon, or even worse, kill them with your heart. The one with the sad resume stuck in it. Soon the underpaid legals and all the not paid at all illegals come and sweep up the mercy. They put it in plastic bags. They seal it so none escapes. They mark it toxic, this sad mercy, and they bury it deep in the hollow ground. You know where the hollow ground lives. The hollow ground has clean underwear on and can buy its way out of any trouble. I don't have any hollow ground to throw at you. I pick it up. It burns my hands.
Okay, Griffin, everybody. All right. Our next reader is Beyond Baroque's programs manager. He's often the one up here doing this. Iván Salinas. There are a few big moments in an organization when someone comes in and kind of really transforms things. And I really feel that way about Iván. We hired him as a fellow, I think 2021, and he was immediately just so great as a programs fellow at the time. And I think like long before his fellowship was over, we just like offered him a full-time job. He is a wonderful poet, a really brilliant programmer, and what he really did for this place that I wanted to was he brought poetry here I didn't know. I can program all day long here, but I want to learn things. And that's what Iván's done for this place. I want to do communities. One of the most moral people I know, too. That means a lot. This place at this time. So please give it up for Iván Salinas.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Shout out to Quentin and to this beautiful team that we have. I do want to say from day one, I loved all the crazy stories that Quentin had for us from the past years. I missed out on a lot, but we got our fair share, that's for sure. And I hope you book some therapy sessions. I will join you in some. And the theater is open for this as well. But Quentin is definitely an ally and a friend. He is the most dedicated person I've ever met to a team, to an organization, and that is really inspiring. And I really am excited for what comes our way, for you and for the rest of us as a team. I also want to thank you for all the deep cuts that you've shown me of LA's literary history. I love the ancestral chisme, and it's just really just all fuel to continue what I do here. And I want to thank you for all the opportunities. I'm excited to continue working here, and I'm sure Jimmy will be yelling at me at some point during the day. Might deserve it, who knows? Okay. We're an almost all brown team. That really is, talk about a new era for an organization like Beyond Baroque. This one's called Agua de Jamaica, which is hibiscus water. Agua de Jamaica dyes the pale mannequin over the boardwalk, a vibrant Cali red. It runs down the naked torso of a woman's statue in Windward Circle, while sunburned tourists snap a selfie outside the butcher's daughter. Shirtless Z-boys mash up Jamaica leaves in the middle of Abbott with their skateboard wheels. Jamaica rain sweetens the overcast. It fills up the backyard pools after skating in them all day. Broken hip bone, scarred tissue stamp, hecho en Venice, born X-raised on suicidal tendencies, oakwoods and fences and psychotic youth screaming, "Fuck the cops!" Against the sunset, over the shoreline. In 76, a more hippie version of me, with salty lips, drenched in sand, would carry momentum volumes, a Peace Frog 45. Ghosts of Venice West in a paper bag taking the 33 south. Old blood stains the roots of the palm trees in Venice. Red are the arms of luxuriant chairs in the Lincoln Fox Theater. Red are the eyes roaming its discount store retrofit. Across the street, their idea of fun under the Anglo sun was to turn Patricia's house into a trendy Verskuha. Patricia Sanchez needed a cure for her cancer, not a beer garden in her front yard. You'll find 5-star reviews, but no obituary when you type in her address. But West Side punks still believe in boycotting, and they know the best beer comes out of a liquor store fridge, cold can in hand, scanned, ID'd, wrapped in black nylon next to a parked RV on Venezia Avenue. Philomene Long guides me through dulce canals of Jamaica. She shows me the West Coast bathed in sangria, high on sugared memories and sweet, sweet thoughts flowing through our veins. We eat chip teriyaki on the soft foam. The ocean foams at the mouth. We rock the sunset, roll the Red Sea, and drink it away. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you.
Iván Salinas. All right, so we're getting close to the end. Our next guest reader is Lynne Thompson. Lynne is so many things. She's still the LA Poet Laureate. I mean, not officially, but they haven't announced a new one. And so I think in many ways Lynne represents what's best about Beyond Baroque and these kind of communities, in that she had a whole career. She was a lawyer. She did, all kinds of things. And then she said, you know what? I want to write poetry. I'm going to give that up. I'm going to write poetry. She came to Beyond Baroque. She came to other places. She found community. She practiced her craft. And that's what a space like this exists for, is the people who are not necessarily, going to school for it. They just want to learn, and they want to learn with each other. And she's become LA Poet Laureate. She also went to Paris with us. She parties harder than anybody I've met. Like 3 o'clock on the boulevards, I'm trying to go to bed, and she's like, how about another glass of champagne? So I can't keep up with her, so I'll get off the stage. And please everybody welcome Lynne Thompson.
I was going to say that's not really true, but then I did do that champagne thing. I remember vaguely. So I woke up this morning thinking about this event coming up and kind of going over in my mind the trip that we've all been through, that have been through Beyond Baroque. Starting with what I think was my very first workshop here with Quincy Troop. Only 4 of us showed up, and he acted like it was 40. And I said, this is the place for me. Welcomed me into the community. I started there. I went to the woman who stepped out of her jeans when I was sitting right where Karen Kevorkian is. And she kind of was, I was like, why is she standing so close to me and she's taking her clothes off? That stood out in my mind. One of the major events at Beyond Baroque. And then I was thinking when you came along and became the executive director, and about 2 months in, the lawyer in me said, now we're going to whip this place into shape. And I just think what you've done for this place is amazing. It's hard to imagine it without you. But I did enjoy, so when I got, as so many of us did, the email said that, Quentin was leaving in paragraph A, but then in paragraph B it said, but he'll still be with us. And I channeled my inner Michael Corleone, thinking every time I try to get out, they pull me back. They pull me back. I know a lot about that. We'll talk. But because of that, I chose this poem, which is new and you haven't heard. And I just want you to know, we'll always have Paris. Like choosing which one to be forever changed into. The dragonflies are only the first thing. There are places still that no moonlight ever conquers. And there's a meadow I can't stop coming back to. There's a slant of light I used to call self-portrait, having been lost unfindably where dragonflies are only the first thing. It's easy to confuse estrangement with what came before. When did our yard get this swollen? What happened to the meadow I can't stop coming back to? My heart is not so much broken as beating. Maybe stamina's just a fairer form of stubborn, and dragonflies are forever the first, the only thing. It is our shadowed tenderness I break inside of, a forest that stands at the exact center of sorrow, alongside a meadow I can't stop coming back to. Then again, everything is findable even now. See how sky becomes an echo of what's flown through it? There are dragonflies, which are only the first thing, and also the meadow. I can't stop coming back. I love you.
Lynne Thompson, everybody. All right, we're getting to the business end of the lineup now. Our next reader is Beyond Baroque's board president, who I already heard from a little bit, Luivette Resto. So this has been like a very positive series of readings. Everybody's friends. We're all happy. I just want to point out, I'm stepping down. Luivette became board president a few months ago. So if you want to read into some drama there, maybe I was pushed out, backroom feelings. I'll also point out that Luivette is not only the board president of Beyond Baroque, she's the associate editor of Tia Chucha's press. She's on the board of Women Who Submit. I think she has imperial ambitions for LA literature. No, but I'm joking. Obviously, it's actually very hard to leave Beyond Baroque when I have such a great board president. Like working with a board is a very sort of intense experience. You're in contact with them a lot, in particular with the president. I've been very lucky, as I mentioned, with Andy, with Shonda, and now with Luivette. She's a very, very, very great poet herself, but she's like the most committed member of the community I've ever met. And I say that because I meet a lot of folks like that. And I am just like both very grateful to her for the work we've done together, but also to be able to leave this space in her hands as the board president, because it will be a healthy place. So please, everybody, welcome Luivette Resto.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to say a couple of things before I read my poem. So when Quentin approached me, I think it was in November, about the position of presidency, and I had only been on the board for a couple of months as secretary and taking notes. And he's like, "Hey, how about this? Shonda's leaving," and I was like, "Oh, I'll think about it." And he's like, "Oh, just full disclosure, I think I might be stepping down." And I was just like, "Oh, fuck." So it was really a hard decision to make, but I was like, "Okay, let's do this." And it's been the last 7-8 months of working with him has been incredible, and we're not losing him because he's still going to be around. And then Jimmy's coming into the space right away, so we're in great hands, and I'm really, really excited. But also about Quentin, he didn't mention. He and I have a huge debate that's going to keep going on about pizza. So I just want to share something really quickly. I think it was my first board president board meeting, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy pizza for everybody." And so I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Bronx girl. Thank you. And so I have very specific needs when it comes to pizza. Jeff is already, he knows what's up. So I got excited. I'm getting pizza on my first day at work. I was like, yay. He shows up, no disrespect to Venice. He shows up with this box that looks like pizza. Again, the appearance of pizza. The box looks like pizza. He opens it up, and it is in the shape of a pizza. It's circular. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. Then there's just salad. Avocado. And I'm like, straight up like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, oh, it's a salad pizza. I'm like, dude, this ain't no pizza. I don't care if they cut it in a triangle. I'm like, where's the sauce? And he's like, there's no sauce. Where's the cheese? There's no cheese. Folks, he's like, they invented it down the block. It's the thing here. And I'm like, let me tell you right now, it is just glorified flatbread with a salad on it, and it's circular, and they cut it in triangles. That's all it is. So anyway, so we have this debate going that I don't think will ever die. So maybe he got pushed out because of the pizza debacle. I don't know. Because I am never forgiving him for that. Pretending that he's like, anyway, so he might have, I don't know if the board regrets this or if he will ever regret, but the fact that he asked a Bronx girl to be the board president. So I've been living in LA now for like 20, it's going to be 22 years, and actually in a couple of weeks. So it's almost like 50% living in the East Coast, 50% living on the West Coast, almost there. And I love Los Angeles because it reminds me of the East Coast, specifically of the Bronx, and the resiliency of LA, and the fact that I think LA and the Bronx have been stereotyped in media and in films and in literature as these like seedy, dark spaces where criminals come from. And again, nothing could be further from the truth. Los Angeles and the Bronx both are thriving spaces of literature and art and graffiti artists and activists. So I'm dedicating this one to the Bronx, and maybe you'll regret asking a Bronx girl to take over. The Bronx isn't a resume builder. It's called all day, every day. The Bronx isn't a resume builder. You don't get a Scouts badge because you lived there today or 20 years ago. You don't come from the Bronx. The Bronx comes from you. And you don't survive the Bronx. It isn't trying to kill you so you can justify leaving it behind, abandoning it like one of the buildings from the 80s with painted flower pots on the windows, making them more aesthetically pleasing for the Jersey commuters as they crawl on the Cross Bronx Expressway, which is always under construction. The Bronx is more than switching your T's for D's when you say water. The accent isn't part of your audition for the next Spike Lee movie. The Bronx is more than dancing to hip hop and bomba. It's Lisa Lisa and Cult Jam and TKA in the community center basement at your cousin's Sweet 16. It's having enough spray cans and D batteries. The Bronx is the way your head tilts when someone says something suspicious. It isn't the amount of yo's and dead asses used in a story, because yo, I am dead ass when I tell you that shit happened like it said it did, but in the end, we good. The Bronx is the original Yankee Stadium and hating on the Mets in perpetuity. It is witnessing love triangles at the park unravel like a telenovela. The Bronx is the ineptitude of the 2 train and cursing Robert Moses when you surface. The Bronx is knowing bodega aisles like treasure maps. It is getting ready for a night out, searching for your favorite hoop earrings and Boricua red lipstick. It means rolling without hesitation when your comadre hits you up. The Bronx is sitting at a meeting and asking the questions no one is willing to ask, because in the BX, there is no sugarcoating.
Luivette Resto, everybody. I did mention in the beginning something about language being imposed on us, trying to get out of that, feeling terrifying. That includes pizza. Like if you can't conceive like out of a world where there's like larger categories of pizza than like what you've grown up with, maybe you should spend more time in Beyond Baroque's workshops. Sorry. We have one more reader. I want to say a few words of thanks before we get to that. I especially wanted to thank George Dewey Smith, our founder, who I wish could be here tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't be. I wanted to thank Richard Modiano, our previous executive director, who hired me originally and gave a huge amount to this place. I really want to thank all of our board members. I can't name them all, both past and present. Quite a few of them are here. You guys have done a lot for this place and for this community. And I really want to thank everybody else that's here. This was like, I've probably, worked with thousands of people at this point over the past several years, 12 years, whatever it is. And those of you who are here are a big part of that. Yeah, it's given me a lot. But I am happy to leave. Not entirely. I will be continuing to work here, as I said, on a variety of projects, joining the board myself. But I'm happy to take that stress off of myself. And I'm also happy and feel very good about doing it because we have someone to take over, Jimmy Vega. Jimmy started here as an intern in 2019, and he's rode with us through the pandemic, weird times, and I've always been able to trust him. Like anything, he'll get it done. He's incredible with people. He's one of the kindest people I know. Although there is a rumor that he's like has a really violent temper. I might have started the rumor, but if he throws the podium, you understand. But as far as I can tell, he's a nice person. He's given everything that it could possibly ask to this place, and so finally I said, you know what? I don't have to do this anymore. There's this guy here who can like do it all. Like, why don't I just get out of here? And I'm really grateful to you, Jimmy, for taking this on because it is a lot of work. I think with everybody in this room, it'll be okay, but it'll be a lot of work. The other thing about Jimmy is he's a really fucking good poet too. So he has a new book coming out. He'll have plenty to say in the months ahead about being director, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm really excited to hear him read. So please, everyone, give it up for Jimmy Vega, Beyond Baroque's new interim executive director.
Thanks, Quentin. I met Quentin 6 years ago. 6 years ago here at Beyond Baroque, and we have Karen Kevorkian to thank for that. And was here with Emmett, who's I think still around. Yeah, Emmett's around here, so thank you, Emmett. And we were, we stuck around through the pandemic. We did a lot of important work. We continue to do a lot of important work here in the space. And I think you've been my best boss, Quentin. But more importantly than that, just someone that I can rely on for advice, rely on for moments of guidance, and to rely on your friendship has really meant a lot to me. So for those of you who know me well enough, you know that I'm not the most happiest about change. So I'm gonna miss you. I know you'll still be around, but I'm gonna miss seeing you every day. The continuity of that, our meetings, our talks, etc. But Quentin is a really good keeper of people, and we can see that today. And so thank you for trusting in me, and for allowing me to kind of think about some crazy ideas, and allowing us to kind of do it here in the space. So really, really thank you. Here's this last poem, I think, for the night, so we can go have some tacos and talk and have some drinks. This one is for Karen Kevorkian, Holiday Mason, Quentin Ring. I am no longer a list of attachments. I am no longer a list of attachments, a sensory amalgamation as combustion neurosis. I am my mother's quiet prayer, transient flicker, brief as causality, hazy amber videotape hue, unexcavated memory. I am the formal cause of an unfound poem, weightless and yearning in Rambodian solitude. Now that I'm in love and no longer a poet, instead hummingbirds singing my grandmother's secrets, one whose ashes are kept in non-cobwebbed ancient church archival box revolution. I keep thinking about who you'd be if I never left, how the desert can't hold you or how all flowers beg for rain. I keep reading in the dark to hide my lizard brain by licking my own wounds. If pain is everything, my tongue becomes my sacrificial ofrenda, yearning to meet you within golden hum. There is a street light lost inside all of us. How else could we radiate past midnight? If you've ever been followed inside fluorescent aisles of a convenience store, raise your hand and repeat after me. When my grandmother died, I lost a lot of everything, but not just anything. One who'd pray for me rushing towards slate streets. I hear her voice in the action of photosynthesis, in the liminality of sleep lids chasing moon cycles, elegiac and round and cylindrical in a way that carries. How else did I ever fall asleep without you holding my hand? And now that I'm in love and no longer a poet, the ending is refrain. Thank you, folks. If you can and are able, please join me in giving Quentin a standing ovation. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you, everybody. This has been totally self-indulgent, so it's been a really long evening. I apologize for that. I've always had fantasies about emceeing my own memorial, so. Quit. So let's have some tacos. Thank you.